Hey everyone, it's Madison Jessiato. You know, I've just been completely astonished, disgusted, and discouraged by what I've been seeing going on all across our country, including, of course, the horrific death of George Floyd. I had a very, very difficult time watching that video, as I'm sure all of you did as well. And of course, it brings to light the fact that racism still exists in our great nation. You know, and it's not just very apparent displays of racism like we're seeing, you know, over the past couple weeks in this video. But there's subconscious racism that exists among many Americans across our country, and it's something that we really need to address. It's very clear that change is needed. And in order for us to inspire that change, we need to come together, and we need to, you know, be the change makers of our generation. As we have, you know, attempted to come together and unite and engage in peaceful protesting to create this change and to inspire this change, the unfortunate reality is that a lot of violence has started, and there have been instigators that don't even live in many of these areas where we're seeing the violence coming in and causing problems. And all this has done is take away the attention from the peaceful protest and desire for change that should be focused on right now. And the reality is this isn't honoring the memory of George Floyd. We even had George Floyd's brother coming out saying, hey, listen, my brother wouldn't have wanted this violence. My brother would have wanted peace. He would have wanted change. And, you know, a lot of people argue back, hey, well, you know, we haven't gotten anywhere with peaceful protests. But, you know, as Stephen A. Smith said, where have we gotten with rioting? Where have we gotten with violence? Nowhere. And the reality is, when you look back in history and you look at some of the greatest leaders and change makers of previous generations, people like Martin Luther King Jr., these people did not advocate violence. These people advocated change through peace and through love. And that's exactly what we need right now. And unfortunately, we have celebrities out there that are encouraging the violence, celebrities that are donating their money, not to real change or to peaceful protesting and organizations, but they're donating their money to bail out people who are looting stores, to bail out people who are engaging in violent behaviors, in criminal behaviors against our very noble police officers. Listen, the reality is that bad people are bad people. These people are bad before they put a badge on. There are bad people, there are racist people in many professions. This doesn't really necessarily have to do with only the police department. And we have some really amazing officers out there, many of whom we've seen, you know, over the past 2 weeks, working to keep people safe, marching with peaceful protesters hand in hand, supporting the same change that we're all working for, hoping for. And it's been pretty disappointing to see the violence, you know, against our police department, the violence against, you know, people who are out there to do good, to protect their businesses. We've seen, you know, horrible, you know, displays of violence against businesses and business owners, many minority businesses destroyed throughout these violent protests and or, you know, riots and looting. But the one thing that I think is wonderful that we haven't seen covered in the news is the fact that there are many celebrities who aren't doing the same thing that people like Chrissy Teigen are doing. But they're actually out there speaking about unity, they're speaking truth, and they're speaking about real change. They want to be part of the change that generations before us were not lucky enough to be able to create. We want to create real, lasting change so that every person in America, every single one of us can live equally, that every single one of us can have great opportunity, and that we can hopefully eradicate racism, not only within our police departments, but within every aspect of life. And there's people, you know, in all walks of life that have come forward, whether it's athletes or movie stars, people like Udonis Haslem, the basketball player, and others who have said, you know, we want unity, we want change, and we want it peacefully. We want to engage in these peaceful protests. We don't want violence. So it would really be wonderful if we could see more of this featured in the media. I don't think we've seen it enough, but there are people out there that are thinking the same way you and I are thinking. And hopefully we hear more of their voices so that we can ultimately get that change that we want and that we deserve as a nation.